This is that prairie cordgrass that I was talking about. I'm a few miles outside of Mankato, Minnesota, and as you see, it's got long leaves. I suppose the plant is about 4 feet tall. The leaves are like I say, they pretty much grow in a pure stand. There's not very many other weeds in with them. And you just cut this stuff off, and it's those long furry leaves, they just start curling right up into a tight little string. It's sort of grown in wet ground, not real wet. There's a few cattails around, but it doesn't like real wet weather, but it likes damp ground. And like I say, with this stuff, you have to cut it and you lay it out in thin layers, otherwise those leaves start curling up within about a half an hour. And if you pack them tight together, they will curl on each other and you can't get them apart. So I'll cut some of this, and then later I'll show you how they curl up. So here I got a pretty fair armful. It took about 2-3 minutes to cut it, and I'll have to head right home and get it spread out flat so it don't start curling on each other, because if the bundle starts curling on itself, then you can't hardly get them apart without wrecking them. So here it is about 20 minutes later, and I have the cordgrass spread out in a thin layer on top of the chicken coop, and we'll just let it sit there. It should start curling in not too long a time. The curling is a lot slower if you cut it on a nice damp morning like it is this morning, and in the fall it curls a little bit slower than it does if you cut it during the middle of the summer. If you lay it out in the hot sun, it starts curling almost immediately. And you want it spread out in this thin layer so that the leaves don't start curling on each other. You'll have a real mess then. So I'll be back after it starts curling up. So it's been a little less than an hour, and you can already see that the leaves are starting to curl. Get real close there. They seem to curl from one side onto the next one around that stem. If you got them loose, they won't curl on each other. And I would say that, whoop, there's a weed in there. You got to get him out. They'll curl right around him. And you'll notice in here, there's a couple of leaves like this. This is the color that they turn in the fall. And even that leaf, as far along as it is, it's starting to curl a little bit. And I would think, let's see here, you see that one there is just about curled into a string there, and you end up nice and flexible even after they're curled up. If you look at the stems, you can see that there's 3 or 4 leaves on each one, sometimes 5 or 6 come out from the base. This thick stem at the bottom, you would want to cut that off unless you want a really substantial basket. You don't have to make much of a curl. That's pretty stiff. I have made ones with bigger baskets that you can work those thick stems right into. And this batch here will probably do half a dozen 6 or 8 inch baskets. When they get fully curled, I'll be back again. So this is the cordgrass after it's dried for about 2 hours. Real fine out on the very end, towards the butt, a lot thicker. If you look at one of the individual pieces, you can see that those leaves that were 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch wide are now curled up into a tight little rod, and they'll stay that way forever. Now if you want to real fine stuff, you can strip each individual leaf off and you'll have real fine stuff, and you can make real tight turns in your coiled basketry. If you want something a little thicker, a little bigger, you can work the whole thing right in. They're quite flexible. They'll make a pretty tight curve without kinking, and when you coil them, they work just great. This stuff will stay green. Well, you have to let it dry for about a week, and then when you start coiling it, it'll stay green for about 3 or 4 months on the outside, and it'll stay green for about a year on the inside. This is the color it's going to turn after it seasons, and year after year it seems to take on a more golden color. So that's it.